Alright, so just cutting some lamb loin chops. So I'm just going to be cutting these traditionally, which means that I'll be cutting them through the joint. Now this is a handy way to do it, because if you ever do process a lamb at home and you've used a handsaw or whatever to split it down the middle, you can still cut loin chops without having to mark them and cut them through a bandsaw. Now, as these are going in the window, I will be just taking face cuts off the edges here just to get rid of those drier outsides, which for the window they do need to be done, but obviously at home you don't need to do that. Okay, now that I've whizzed off those bits of bone off the outside there and squared it up, I can start to mark through the actual joints itself. So the way you'll be doing this is you cut down through the actual vertebrae joint so that the point of your knife's on the bench, and then by pushing down on the heel in one sharp motion, it will just snap through that joint. Now there is a little bit of a knack to it. It does take apprentices a while sometimes to get it without having to sort of lose the stability in their wrist and then cause the knife to fold over. So you do have to have a fairly strong wrist for it, but once you get the technique down, it's pretty simple and quick thing to do. So now that they're all done, I'm just going to be trimming up the fat around the outside here just to make it a bit more even and just make it a bit more presentable for the window. Now by all means, ask your butcher to leave that fat on. If you do like the fat, then there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, just for, presentation wise, we do trim the fat off so the customer doesn't see they're buying a lot of fat. And alternatively, as for the fat, you can leave that on, trim that off. You can also cut these through the bandsaw by marking them with your actual steak knife and then zipping them through to cut a thinner or a thicker chop. At our shop, we don't find that many people do want them much thicker than this traditional cut. If they were going to do that, they'd be doing it as a roast. But we do get the odd occasion where people do want them cut thinner, just depending on what you're going to use them for. I might just add that this little corner that I'm going to chop off here, even if you want to leave that fat around the outside, I would recommend just nooking off that corner. Just that does have like a thicker bit of sinew and that can be a bit chewy. So even if you want to leave that fat on, just nook off that corner there and then you should be right to go. So hit up your local butcher and have a go of some loin chops. They're a really good chop, nice and tender, and definitely a winner when you have a barbecue with friends. That's in there. Thanks for watching.